Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Season 3 finale episode. This is where I'm going to summarize this third season with Deportivo La Coruña and get into how good it was, where we can improve, and what my aims are going to be for the summer transfer window. We had a pretty solid season, and we ended up in exactly the same position as we did at the end of last season. Ended up third. And as Zilla has said in a comment on the previous video, there appears to be a huge gulf class between excellent La Liga team and a Champions League. And that's very clear between when we played Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, Champions League. It's very clear when we played Barcelona. Barcelona won the Champions League this year. They annihilated Manchester City, which a little part of me feels good about. And I feel like we need to do some things to help the team along. And I've definitely got building base coming up of youngsters that should help in the long run, especially in the Champions League side of things. But we're going to have to do some reorganization. So let's talk about what we did well. We had a plus 30 goal differential. A little bit less than last season, but still solid. I'm content with it. We had some losses this season that I didn't like. Lost to Mallorca, the last game of the season. And see, the other losses, they were to bigger teams, or they were to competitive teams, I will say. And with exception to that annihilation by Barcelona in the second match, I wasn't unhappy with the other losses. But I feel like we could have beat Atletico Madrid. I feel like we could have beat Valencia. Draws were ones I'm much more happy about. See, we drew Malaga, drew Atletico Bilbao, drew Levante, who placed 16th this season. We drew Real San Sebastian, who played solid this season, but definitely a team we should have won again. Then we drew against Getafe, which, again, a team we really should have. Those are points lost in my. So those are areas where I really feel like we should be able to pick up some points. Wins, the 24 wins we had this season, the last of the list. I mean, we annihilated Vigo in that derby match. We had some pretty solid games here, and 1-0 match with Levante, that would have been draw or loss last season. So, yeah, that's that. You can see Cavani, actually on the right there. Cavani has helped Celta de Vigo get into the Europa League spots with 16 goals. That's league tying. And then Borja Iglesias, again, in the top for goals scored. Have a look at the other goals scored. Griezmann, Richarlison, Hazard. Where is the first Deportivo? We're not anywhere in this goal list. That makes me a little concerned. We played better as a team. You can see for the first team here, Edmondson had 13 goals over the season. Traver had 13 goals. Now this is all games. For all appearance. Traver had 13 games. Holland had 11 goals in half a season, plus an injury. Ayorke had 9 goals. Artson had 9 goals, plus a large. So the goals were much more evenly spread out this season. Whereas last season, Edmondson had 2 or 28, some incredible amount of goals. And, well, we'll see how things go here. Coming up for next season, what do I want to improve? Where do I feel like we need to? I feel like we need to improve on the right wing-back side of things. David Simon is a solid option, but starting just doesn't have the technicals that I want to see. And honestly, he doesn't really have the physicals. Neko Boveda has declined physically this year significantly and has never really had the technicals. Very smart player. But I've got to transfer these guys out, fortunately. And where else? I'm going to be kind of reformatting the wide players. I'm going to be selling Borja Galan because I just don't feel like he's putting in the good. Just doesn't really have the ratings for the games he's played. and I feel like I can get somebody better. Valor is developing nicely, but I'm going to have to send him out on loan, I think, because I need him to play regular game time, and he's just not quite up there yet with his technicals to be where I need him to be to play both winger and inverted winger. So who does that leave us with? That leaves us with Cartabia, who nearing the end of his year. He always thinks he should be moving to a bigger club, and you know what? If somebody wants to come in and make an offer for him, I'll sell him. I would be happy to sell him. But so that leaves us with Cartabia, and I'm definitely holding on to Traver. Yes, he's getting up there in age, but he's not declined one bit, and his stats, I mean, average rating for the season 7.18, 7.19, excuse me. For the Champions Cup, 7.10 for the first division. I mean, just overall, 7.21 for the season. Very, 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 very happy with him. And he can play anywhere up front. So really, really happy with him. Plus, he's on an inexpensive contract until the end of next season, $302,000. So I don't know. I might have to sell everybody except for Cartabia. We'll see. You can see that there's quite a bit of wanted next to my players. Burnley and Southampton have always wanted Uzoho. He's got a solid minimum fee release clause. So unless somebody comes in to buy him, I don't understand why his value is so low. Frankly, he's been a solid goal. Chumi, I got in an argument with. I really would like to keep him as a defender, but I've got two problems. One, he doesn't get along with Robropoulos, who is a little bit older, but is a solid defender option. And he just wants too much money to re-sign, in my opinion, what he is. So he's got a minimum fee release clause of $1,875, $750,000, and so far nobody's come close to that. So I've just rejected all that. If somebody comes in with a minimum fee release, I'll sell him because he's just not happy right now. If not, we'll have to see how that goes. Milan I've listed, and you can see quite a few teams are coming to get him. And the news was that teams are lining up to make offers such as $800,000 and $1.5 million. And yes, he might only be worth $1 million in the market, but that's not what I'm going to sell him for. I'm going to be aggressive with that. Bartson has all of a sudden got some transfer attention from some teams. We'll have to see how that goes. And then Ayorke, I really don't want to loan him out. He's going to be my starting target man this next season because he plays really well with Holland. They play off of each other very well. Holland is going to be starting pressing forward season. So we also have some space coming up in the midfield soon with Shibasaki getting 30 years old. He had some interest in his services previously, but then we were able to re-sign him for relatively inexpensive 2.3 and a minimum fee of $46 million. So I don't know, but he played very well this season. Played very, very well this season. So we'll have to see where things go there. Actually, while I'm here, clubs, I'm going to loan list Valor at 100%. Yeah, definitely want to make some money on this guy. Okay, probably won't get this, but important player. I'm going to put none selected as long as he's an important player. Put him on the loan market because he needs to get some solid game time at a club that just to help him get his confidence and get moving because he's got the attributes, he just hasn't been able to stuff together yet. I've already made some moves in the transfer market, and that's because I found some solid deals. I mentioned last episode, you can see here some of the transfers. Nottingham Forest came in and offered 12.75 Chumi, and because it looks like they're getting promoted this season. And that's just not enough. Sorry, guys. But already brought in a couple. We can ignore the young guys that are coming in from Claremont Vincenza and Victoria Pilsen. Mentioned this guy, Andoni Gorosabel from Bilbao. A little bit younger of a right wingback, and I foresee him either being my starting or my rotational. His B team regular time at Bilbao is happy to move, and he's got the attributes to improve and the determination to improve. So we'll have to see how he does in a situation where we're very focused on training at this club. Maybe he can buck up and be our starting right wingback. Then Eric Tommy signed on a free from Stuttgart. He's not the brightest guy, and his physicals are just off, but he's got technicals. Well, he's fairly professional. Took decisions for his determination earlier. He's fairly professional, so he fits in this left winger position that's he's a little bit slower in terms of pace and stamina than Valor, but his technicals are far superb. So I feel like he can make an immediate effect as an inverted winger on that left-hand side, and then also as a right winger alternate to Raver. So signed him on a free, got him for relatively cheap as well with regards to his salary. So we'll have to see how that goes. We've got a sizable transfer budget remaining now. We've got 1639, got 7 million of payroll available, but that's because Tommy and Grenoble haven't come in yet. So we have a good bit less payroll available. Who do we have that expires at the end of next season? Bovida, Simone, and Traver expire at the end of the season. So that is... I'm going to have to think about Traver because he definitely deserves more money, but at the same time, he's really worth more money. I don't know. I'm of two minds. We'll have to see. We'll have to see where that goes. Take a look at some of the scouting we've been doing. I have been all over the place with scouts. Actually, been scouting so much that they canceled our scouting budget until it resets on June 30th of this calendar year. Remaining 19,000. So player search. Let's look at who scouted. So this is how I do my scouting, and I'm going to get into this more. I've got a new save coming up with Dynamo Dresden, where I'm going to go into how I start a team. The meat and potatoes of that is going to be on Twitch, and then some occasional episodes there focused on how I do specific things like set up tactics, set up training, how I get my staff. It's going to be geared more towards how I play the game rather than the team and how I'm playing that specific team. So this is how I'm searching for wingbacks, and this is where my scouting has taken me. So let's see here. Set the attributes. Sorry about that. I had to check something quick. Set the attributes and then set an attribute level. And, you know, it really does limit the amount of players that I see at any given time. So if you see, obviously there's not too many folks in the game with level 15 attributes for all the wingback stuff. But there we go. We set it to 12, and we finally got some folks show up in the list. And these are some pretty talented folks. Actually, I limit the age. I did limit the age to 20. And that's because of a rule we have at Deportivo here. So, for example, Timothy Castagna, 49 million, currently at Leicester. 5 million a year and hacking fullback. Pretty big guy too. That would be a very powerful fullback to sign. But he's a regular starter. Signed Anthony Garosebo. You can see he's in this list of stats that I'm looking for. That's why I went for him. Also because his minimum fee release clause was tiny, and I just jumped on that. Valentin Rossier. Listed. Southampton. He's a squad player at Southampton, making $3.5 million. So that, you know, there's a solid player, right? 5 years. Benjamin Heinrichs, 31. Not listed. There's more along the line. Holy crap, he can play positions. Wow. be a very good signing indeed. He's a regular starter. What's his contract? Ooh. Making a lot of money there. Guga, Brazilian. Get some interesting names. Brazil, or at least single names. And he's pretty solid as well. A little bit younger, too. He might be somebody in the future I look at. And Facundo Mora at Club Brugge. I tried like the Dickens to sign him, and he was on an end of season contract, or it was going to end here, and they re-signed him just like within the past gaming week. Unfortunate. What's his contract info? Is that all? Only making. I want to send somebody else to look at him because he is definitely somebody I would have another look at. But that's basically how I've looked for fullbacks. The inverted wingers were a little bit more difficult because there's not many people that play inverted wingers in the positions I need them to. And I always add determination because it's the minimum of what I'm looking for. Normally I add teamwork and work rate, but I've had to remove those recently just so I can get a list of solid candidates. Harry Wilson at Everton. Wait. What? Harry Wilson transferred from Liverpool to Everton. God, this game creates some blasphemy situations. Gustavo Scarpa. Solid, but he's inverted winger on the other side. And again, this is also how I found the gentleman that I just signed on a free from Stuttgart. So let's see what else we've got here. Nice. Young. Attacking midfielder. Right foot's very strong. This is a guy I could sign in a heartbeat. Contract. 40 million minimum release. Ah, man. I pretty much just try to unsettle folks when they're, when they're have a release like that. Holy cow, look at some of these stats. Runs with ball, he's an inverted ringer for the right side. He might be a replacement for Cartabia. So pretty much this is how I do my searching. Take another. So you can see it's sorted by age right now, but let's do another sort here. The value up. Something. This guy's minimum. His contract is with Porto, and he doesn't have a minimum. Interested in a transfer, estimate salary. Joel? What? I don't know why I didn't quite notice this guy last time. Oh, because he is Cartabia's. That's what that is. Well, in all honesty, I do need a Cartabia replacement. I have one developing on the on the 19th, and he needs time to develop more. This guy looks like he's ready. So let's think about this. I'm doing this live on the recording here. Normally I try to prep a little bit more, taking me back a little bit, and I've got money to spend. Let me think about this. So we've got Cartabia as my starting inside right. I've got the new signing for the starting inside left. I've got Traver for the inside left. Got the new signing in Traver for the right. This guy in Cartabia for the left wing positions. And maybe that's why I didn't look at him before, because I try to find. It's actually let's take a stop here. Let's go to pick attributes, teamwork, and work rate. because I do need some guys that know how to run. And I'll show you why in a second. This guy had a ridiculous clause. Yeah, see, so that's why okay. That's why I'm normally looking for teamwork and work rate, is because I've made an executive decision regarding tactics. I'm going to be throwing a little bit of a change in here. So my primary tactic is still going to be some level of a 4-4-2 or the 4-2-4, but I need something that really throws a wrench in the opposition. We weren't even using the other third tactic I had, which was a balanced winger setup. So I'm coming up with a 5-3-2 situation that's going to play more like a 2-3-3-2. You can see I've got a libero here, and I feel like that should be plenty of a wrench to do to throw at the AI as we learn this tactic. So we'll see how this one develops. Yeah, and basically the wingbacks are just going to be running up and down the sides and the midfield, and this should be. We'll see how this goes. I'm hoping this does well. Oh, you know, this is. Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it at that. See how that plays. So basically, what I was saying is these wide midfielders here, and Artabia, I swapped them out. The wide midfielders need to be able to run up and down and just run when they're in that position. So I need guys that can run. And, you know, now that I think about it, this guy here, Eric Tommy, he's not bad. 11, but his work rate's 15. Okay, I'm happy with that. Definitely happy with that. Content. But going back into the search here, you know, you notice that guy I was just enamored with briefly, not here. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Definitely figure that out. And see where things go. So, kind of a shorter episode, a lot of blabbing on by me. The next episode will be the introduction to Season 4 with Deportivo, and hopefully some solid progress in the transfer market to making a stronger Deportivo side. Thanks, everybody, for joining me for this season and for this episode. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves and are happy and healthy at home. I hope to see you the next time. Thanks for stopping by. Take care. Bye-bye.